Hello there and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another episode with me, Amnah from My English Matters. And today we are going to share phrases to use when your mind goes blank. So last month we sent out a survey to our email subscribers asking them to vote for their year-end bonuses. Now, if you voted and you're one of our email subscribers, thank you for helping us determine which bonuses we can share with you. We usually offer bonuses to students who join our online programs. And these bonuses are usually like live trainings, PDF guides, video lessons, or worksheets. So we wanted to share some of them as a year end gift for our email subscribers. So these are the three of the most popular bonuses that our community voted for. Number one was phrases to use when your mind goes blank. Number two, common English phrases for daily conversations. And number three was phrases for speaking up. So, since these bonuses are exclusively for students who purchase specific programs, the year end bonus that we gave to our email subscribers were only available for a limited time. Now, if you didn't get to download the year end bonus, don't worry, because we've actually put up the most popular bonus, phrases to use when your mind goes blank, on our website as a freebie for this special episode. So go to myenglishmatters.com/phrases to get the guide. Now, there are more than 100 phrases in the PDF guide. I'm not going to read all of them in this episode, so make sure you download the guide later on so that you can go through them in your own time. But if you would like to go through the guide with me as you listen to this episode, pause the episode and come back on after you've downloaded it. So, have you ever found yourself at a loss for words? Let me paint a familiar scenario for you. You're in the middle of a conversation and suddenly your mind goes blank. Panic sets in, right? Well, today we are equipping you with phrases to keep these moments at bay. Now, these are what we fondly call buying time phrases because they give you that precious moment to gather your thoughts, look composed, and respond confidently. So these phrases are particularly useful when someone needs a brief moment to gather their thoughts, recall information, or formulate a response. By using buying time phrases, you can maintain a composed demeanour in conversations, especially in situations where immediate answers might be expected or where you might feel pressured. So these phrases can be versatile and vary depending on the context. For instance, in a professional setting, someone might use phrases like, let me think about that for a moment. That's an interesting point. Let me consider it. Or could you give me a second to gather my thoughts? Similarly, in casual conversations, simpler phrases like, let me see, give me a sec, or that's a good question, let me think, might be used. So, overall, buying time phrases act as a bridge in conversations. They allow individuals to maintain engagement while providing themselves the necessary time to formulate a coherent and thoughtful response. All right, let's break it down, shall we? So, in the PDF guide that you can download at myenglishmatters.com/phrases, we categorized these buying time phrases based on common situations where your mind might go blank. So, the first one is when you forget a word. The second situation is when somebody asks you a question. The third situation is when somebody asks you to share an opinion. The fourth situation is when somebody doesn't understand you. And the fifth situation is when someone challenges or doesn't agree with you. All right, let's go to the first situation where your mind can go blank, is when you forget a word. All right, picture this. You're chatting away and that one word you desperately need just slips your mind. It's frustrating, right? This has happened to me a lot of times. I've even recorded a video episode called What to Do When Your Mind Goes Blank. It's episode number 5 on our podcast, or you can search for it on our blog by going to myenglishmatters.com/blog. Click on the search tool and type in what to do when your mind goes blank. Right, so you can go through that episode if you want to know other tips for when your mind goes blank. But here, I'm going to share some phrases that you can use when your mind goes blank. All right, you can say, let me think for a moment. Hold on, it's at the tip of my tongue. How can I explain this? How do you say that? How shall I put it? I can't quite recall it. I'm going blank. What do you call it again? What is that word? What was it again? What's the name of that thing again? What's the word I'm looking for? So when you use these phrases, it actually helps your listener or your audience know that you are searching for the correct word or phrase. And it may even prompt them to help you and suggest the word that you're looking for. Now, it's completely okay for you to ask your listener to help you when your mind goes blank. It will help make your speech or your conversation more interactive and encourage them to participate. All right. Number 2, phrases to use when somebody asks you a question and then your mind goes blank. So, what about those times when someone shoots a question your way and they've caught you off guard? Now, these are phrases to use when somebody asks you a question and you need a bit of time to answer. For example, it could be during a job interview or an important presentation. Again, remember, there are more than 100 phrases in the PDF guide, so I'm not going to go and read all of them in this episode. So you can just go to myenglishmatters.com/phrases to download that guide, and then you can go through it in your own time. So here are some phrases for when somebody asks you a question and your mind goes blank. First of all, give me a second. You can even be honest and say, gosh, that's a hard one. Got it. I need a moment to pull together my thoughts for you. Hold on a second. I've genuinely never thought of that before. However, I've never really thought about that, but I'm still thinking about what I want to say. Let me think. Well, so what you're asking is, that's a good question. That's a really great question. That's an excellent question and something we're constantly evaluating. Would you like a short or long answer? All right. So, if the question is hard, it's fine to say that you think it's hard. As long as you're honest and you're showing that you're putting in genuine effort to come up with an answer, it's okay. And it also helps to paraphrase or repeat the question for better clarity. So, this is a tip that we teach our students. If somebody asks you a question and you need time to think about it, you can just paraphrase or repeat the question. That helps me as well. I do that a lot as well. Okay, let's move on to the third situation, which is when somebody asks you to share an opinion and then your mind goes blank. So use these phrases when somebody asks you to share an opinion spontaneously and you need a second to frame it just right. Again, it could be during a job interview or presentation. So you can actually use the same phrases that I shared for the second situation, is when somebody asks you a question. But here are a few more that you can use for when you want to share an opinion. I honestly think that. I might be wrong, but I'm no expert. But I'm still digesting what you said. I'm still thinking about what I want to say. In my opinion, it's clear to me that one thing I'm sure of is, so it's obvious that what I think is that, where should I start? Okay, so remember, these phrases are quite similar to the phrases that we used in the situation for number 2, where somebody asks you a question. But so you can use them interchangeably. All right, moving on to the fourth situation, when somebody doesn't understand you. Right, you can use these phrases when you're explaining something and the other person doesn't understand you. They may ask, "What do you mean?" or "I don't understand. Please explain to me." Please explain that to me again. And we also have a podcast episode called What to Do When People Don't Understand You, which would also be helpful for this situation if you want more tips for what to do when somebody doesn't understand you. It's episode 52 on our podcast. You can search for that on our podcast or at myenglishmatters.com/blog. Use the search tool and look for what to do when people don't understand you. So communication is a two-way street. If somebody's having trouble understanding you, instead of fumbling, you can try these phrases. How should I put this? I want to say, in different words, in more simple language, in other words, let me put this in different words. Let me say that again. Let's see how I can explain this better. What I'm trying to say is, what's the best way to put this? Now, remember, the reason that someone doesn't understand you may not have anything to do with your English at all. So it could be due to other reasons. Maybe you're speaking too fast. Maybe they just need more clarification. Maybe the topic is a bit difficult for them to understand. Or maybe they just need more time to get to the point, right? So once you understand that it's not always about you, it's not always about how poor you think your English is, right? Once you understand that, you're going to stay calm. You're not going to panic or freak out, right? Stay calm and use these phrases to help get your message across better. Now we've come to the final situation, which is when somebody challenges you or somebody doesn't agree with you. So these are phrases to use when somebody disagrees with you. It can be used when somebody seems a bit hostile or they seem very direct and they just catch you off guard and you find yourself going blank, right? Just remember, remain calm as you respond to them. Remember, when this happens to you, think of my words where I say, stay calm, don't panic, even if they seem very hostile or maybe like pointing fingers at you and being very aggressive. Remember, that's normal. And use these phrases. You can say, all right. Another point that's worth discussion is, actually, apart from that, as a matter of fact, at the end of the day, but don't forget, but don't you think that? Do you have anything to add to that? Here's the deal. I also need to point out that, let me be very clear. Maybe there's another way to think about it. Now, just a minute. Okay, but on the other hand, the fact of the matter is, yes, but isn't it true that? Okay, so there's a lot more in the PDF guide. I just went through a few of them, a few of the ones that I feel that I would use. And when you go through the PDF guide, choose the ones that you feel comfortable using, okay? Because you want to sound natural when you use them. Because if you're not sounding natural, you're just going to panic on top of the hostile situation you are in with that person, and you're using phrases that you don't normally use. It won't make the situation better for you. Right. So here's an extra tip. You can mention the person's name in any of these phrases, especially if that person seems hostile and if you know them, right? For example, somebody is called Julie, and she says, what are you and your team doing right now to solve this problem? And you can say, I'm so glad you asked me that, Julie. My team and I have been. So using somebody's name can help to calm the situation down, calm them down so they don't get too aggressive. But don't use it in a patronizing way, but use it in a way where you acknowledge the concern and you're doing your best. Okay? So overall, buying time phrases act as a bridge in conversations. They allow you to maintain engagement while providing you the necessary time to formulate a coherent and thoughtful response. Now, remember, my friends, pick phrases that resonate with you. You could also choose the ones that are most suitable based on your personality, how you usually speak, your level of fluency, or your ability to pronounce the words. Now, if you think your level of English is, say, basic, right? Try not to use phrases that are too advanced for you. You could use the phrases that are really short, like "let me see," or "that's a great question." Now, those are simple phrases that would be suitable for you because you might not be ready for the more advanced phrases that are a bit longer. So, what I say to our students is make the phrases sound like you, practice using them at home, adapt them, tweak them, and make them your own, right? When you practice them saying them out loud, it will help you to sound more natural when you're using them. So, after this episode, when you get home or whenever you're listening to this, when you're home, go through some of the phrases, just choose one or two or three, practice saying them so that you sound natural. Right? Because if you don't sound natural and then you use them in these situations which are already when you're already going blank and then you sound unnatural, it's just going to make you panic even more. All right. So as you get used to using them, you can memorize several more because it helps to use a variety of phrases so that people will not hear you using the same phrases all the time. And most importantly, you must believe that you will be able to respond accordingly. Because the calmer you are when your mind goes blank, the easier it will be for you to regain your confidence. The whole point of having these phrases is to help you remain calm, right? It's not just about adding more words into the situation, it's about helping you to sound more calm so that you feel more calm. And then the other person sees that you are a person who can regain their composure. Right? So that's all for today's episode. We've went through 5 situations where your mind goes blank and the phrases that you can use in those specific situations. Remember, practice makes progress. So go out there and remember to use these buying time phrases. Now, again, if you'd like more of these phrases, remember we've created the PDF guide with more than 100 phrases you can use when your mind goes blank. Just go to myenglishmatters.com/phrases to download it. Until next time, keep practicing, keep learning, and keep shining. This is Amnah signing off from My English Matters. Take care and Assalamu alaikum. Bye.